Hey everyone, welcome to the Vegan Stew. It is our second to last show of the year, and we're really glad that you're with us. And how many of you had surgery today? I did. That's how I started my day. And I'm still standing, literally. So let's say thank you to Kathy Hester for being this month's sponsor of Virtual Veg Fest Live and all our talks. And if you'd like to win prizes, we're giving them away weekly. So you can go to virtualvegfestlive.com, hit the contest tab, enter a wish pond, and have a chance to win one of actually 11 prizes. One is weekly from YoFit, one of our newest sponsors. So they're giving away one prize a week. And then we're giving out all the prizes we have for the month. Terra Seed, Hodo Foods, Veg Key, Rebel Cheese, Cinnaholic, Fabulous, Bernie Wild's Adventure Sauce, Kathy Hester, and Trupo Treats. I don't know if you saw my TikTok about Trupo Treats. I ordered 72 of them, the new wafers. They sent me over 200. And it's been really fun giving them away and eating them. So, and also for Kelly, when she comes on, they will ship to Canada. So we can get them to you and we can do that whole customs thing. So that's my latest news for Kelly. Let's see. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, that you can definitely join in on the conversation by putting a comment in the little box. And we love comments, questions, because you become part of the show. And if you go, or if you're watching on YouTube, which right now we don't, but if you are, hey, you're welcome, Rhonda. Thanks for joining us. If you watch, oh, hey, Susan. I'll get through the intro. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to go and like and subscribe on Virtual Veg Fest and on the Vegan Stew, and hit the little notification bell so you know when we go live. Let's see. Oh, hey, there we go. Let me bring in the stew crew. We have Naus, and then we've got Marla Rose, Veganstreet. We got Ellen Jaffe Jones, the veg coach. We have our newest stew crew members, Dr. Shayla. And then we've got Kelly, the Vegan Enabler and Climate Healers. So I'm not the only person who's had a rough time of it. So Kelly, let's start with you. How are you and how's your family?
We're surviving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's not
and a lost phone on top of that.
Too.
Okay, and then we have. I missed you last week for your first weekend. Of course, obviously there was technical issues last week, but the show just dropped. I don't know why. Nobody knows why, but you know what? That's why we're live, and that's why tech issues happen. But Dr. Shayla, welcome to the stew crew and the Vegan Stew. So happy that you're here.
Thanks so much. We had a lot of fun last week, even though
Did you want your computer, Mom?
No. Okay, let's see. Rhonda says, great group. Good to see you all. Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate that. And let us know where you're watching from. And then before we go further, everybody who's on the stew crew has shared what their vegan journey is. But we don't know yours, Dr. Shayla. So if you would like to share briefly what your vegan journey is, what brought you to it, that would be great.
Yeah, I sure would. Yeah, so really my vegan journey was health related, which is a lot of why I do what I do now. I started developing these stomach issues a lot, and it got to a point where it seemed like no matter what I ate, I would have, a lot of pain and just GI issues. And so I went and saw my doctor. At the time I was in college, and they did everything, you name it, they did it, all the tests, all the things. Nothing really was wrong medically in terms of that. And so my gastroenterologist, because it got, beyond even just seeing my primary care, I ended up seeing a specialist. And the gastroenterologist, he said, well, all the tests are normal, so let's just try an elimination diet. And the first thing he recommended was that I eliminate dairy. And he said, just give it 2 weeks. Let's see how it goes. And so I did it. And I did. I felt just miraculously better within those 2 weeks. I wasn't like doubled over in pain. I wasn't experiencing all of those things that I had been before. And then as soon as I went back to eating those things that I definitely enjoyed, I was always a big mac and cheese and ice cream fan. So I went back to that, and I'd be double over again. And so he was like, okay, well, we've got our answer. So, it was kind of like choose your adventure at that point. You got to figure this out and do what you need to do. And then I've always been a reader. So once I discovered that, I started diving more into what actually food does to our bodies. And so the more I read, I came across the China study and listened to like the whole audiobook and all of those things. So the more knowledge I gained, then, I was sold on really, it's what we need to, to do to prevent and reverse chronic disease and do for our bodies. And I've seen it, work really well for me, and I've seen it work really well for my patients who have followed the plan in terms of helping them to make plant-based choices. And yeah.
That's awesome. And of course, if you're following the little strolling thing on the bottom, you'll see that Essence of Health is part of our little scrolling thing. So if you're interested in learning more or having Dr. Shayla help you, you can by following along with what she does outside of the vegan stew. So I hear, Marla, we have a news article. And muted.
Sorry, I was getting stage direction from my husband who's watching elsewhere that I'm too much in shadow. So he's like, turn on your happy light, which is my seasonal affective light. I don't know, whatever. I'm turning this thing off. It's way too bright. So anyway, were we going to share the news story? Helene, I didn't hear what you. Yes. Okay.
I think that would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean it's not a happy story, but I'm linking to it in the sidebar, the chat. So within a week, there are really 3 tragic stories about animals in captivity dying horrific deaths, all in Europe, which is like, I think a lot of times we get this messaging that things are more, humane there, more merciful there. And there was a story written by Christopher Sebastian McJetters, who's an amazing friend and journalist. So here are the 4. I'm sorry, they're really quick. The 3 stories. So 4 chimps in Sweden got loose from their cages. I'm sorry, 7 got loose. 3 were shot by a sniper within the zoo. Apparently there wasn't enough tranquilizer or something like that. This was in Sweden. The next day, a place called Aquadome in Berlin, at the Radisson in Berlin. The tank exploded. This is a tank that held thousands of of sea life. 1,500 fish died there and went spill it. Like if you look for the images, it's just really graphic and horrible. But 1,500 sea animals died in that avoidable tragedy. And the last story was in Wiltshire, England. 2 endangered baby pandas died of hypothermia at a safari park. I know, like a lot of times people differentiate between zoos and aquariums and that sort of thing. The bottom line is captivity is no place to sustain life. They live very unnatural and prematurely short lives in those kinds of environments, no matter how gussied up they are. So anyway, we're hoping that the word gets through that these are not places to support. Whether it's in the United States or anywhere in the world, these are very cruel money-making institutions, and it's not part of a modern society. So anyway, I'd like to hear what if you guys have any thoughts on that or not. It's very sad. I know it's a buzzkill for starting a show, right?
Well, there's one other thing I think I'd like you to share, and it's about the sanctuary where the guy was watching the goats. It was goats, right?
Oh
That
yeah,
you have the fundraiser,
right. So
the
this is a
GoFundMe.
separate type of story, but it is around the idea of humans believing that we have opinion over animals and the connection to violence when that is interfered with. In Wisconsin, a local sanctuary, small local sanctuary, got the people who run it. This is a genuine sanctuary, accredited animal rescue place. They woke up in the morning and there was a goat left there, and that often happens. It's a in a farming community, people often surrender animals there without any word. Anyway, they were taking the animal in, putting him into or her into quarantine to protect the other animals. Just kind of, it is such a normal part. And I can say, just from working at an animal at a shelter for dogs and cats, people do that all the time. Drop off, like leave animals outside for people, the workers to find. Anyway, somebody, apparently the man who had left the goat there was, I don't know what was going on mentally with him, but he was very angry that he jumped the fence to the sanctuary and attacked one of the volunteers there, demanding the goat back to him, the one he had dropped off without any warning. He jumped the fence, attacked this man with a brick, and he is currently in the hospital. I believe he's currently in the hospital. I think he has a long road of recovery in front of him. There were other, I don't know why that is like that.
I don't know.
There
Hold on.
were, sorry. There was another volunteer who was attacked with the brick. Thankfully, a volunteer was able to get a phone very quickly, and the police showed up. The man rammed his car into a police car and ended up taking his own life. And they do have the goat still there and are planning, this will be part of their family. But I'm not sure what to say other than there is a big fundraiser going on for this man's continued care, which it sounds like he will need a lot of these, like, contusions all over his head. And I don't know what else. But if you go to, the name of the sanctuary is Tiny TINY Hooves HOOVES. Tiny Hooves Sanctuary. You look it up on Facebook or online. You will find fundraisers for the sanctuary, which is now doesn't have one of their key volunteers or their key volunteer and and his care.
Yeah.
So
If you could grab that link from your post, that'd be great. And you post it in the chat, in the comments. That'd be amazing, Marla.
right,
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And I'm sure Kelly will be back.
Yeah.
So it's so we have an interesting show for you because we want to do something before we do next week's show, which is a highlight of the year show. We wanted to let you get to know us a little bit better. Here comes Kelly. And Marla, being Veganstreet, she does this, 10 questions. And let me just show this first. This is the link you want to go to see what happened to the volunteer and to donate to the sanctuary and to his care. So please do so. So Marla came up with her 10 questions, which is what she does when she's going to interview like a vegan rock star. So vegan superstar, vegan whatever. So we said, hey, Marla, come up with 10 questions for us. And she did. So we're not going to sit and 8 of us answer all 10 questions. It would be too much. But we've all picked questions that we're going to choose to answer. I think we have them all covered. If we don't, I'm sure we will in this live time. So, and hopefully everyone remembers which one they said they'd like to do. That'd be amazing. But Marla,
I've
you
got
want to
it.
read question number 1? Yeah, and then I think Kelly said number 1.
I think I'm 2.
I can't remember. And Ellen said number 1. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Ellen said number 1.
Yeah. So so first of all, just that the link that I posted in the show notes about the or about in the comments is probably not the best link, but it's the one I could find the quickest. So so yes, 10 questions. We have chosen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that of them, and each person chose a different one. So we are going to start with Kelly. The first question that I would ask people is I'm sorry, was it Ellen? Is we would love to hear your vegan evolution story. It's a nice short little question, but it could be complex. So we'd love to hear your evolution story.
Sure. And is my volume okay?
Yes.
Okay. So short story is mom, aunt, and both sisters had breast cancer. My aunt died of it in her home when I was 5, and it was a really traumatic thing, leaving my cousin who had no siblings with a father who was working full time. So it was just really very traumatic for everybody. And then when my sister got breast cancer for the second time that year, I was 28 and I almost died of a colon blockage. I was working in the TV newsroom and collapsed in pain. We had one of these snowstorms that's about to hit everywhere, where nobody could drive. And so the news director came and picked us all up at our homes in the SUV he bought that day, and catered the newsroom because we couldn't go home for 2 days with cold cuts, processed meats. And so after a few days of that, I doubled over in the bathroom. They had to drive me to the emergency room, and the doctors said they'd never seen a colon blockage so large in someone so young, and I would need to be on meds the rest of my life. So ran to the health food store, read all 5 books on fiber because that's all there was at the time, and my progression was macrobiotic, and really gave that up after a short period of time because there were too many restrictions, like you couldn't eat out of your latitude. So citrus was out from Louis. You could only eat according to the seasons. Again, very limiting. So then I went vegetarian, and then I saw the light about dairy, and had joined the St. Louis Animal Rights team, was protesting, when I was in my 20s, Ringling Circus coming to town back in the day. So that's really what set it all in motion. When I became a stockbroker at Smith Barney, I thought nobody had ever written a book crunching the numbers on how cheap it is to eat vegan. And because I'd been doing it for all these years as a runner, I knew that the price of beans and grains were ridiculously cheap. So that's where the idea in 2008 came to write Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, which was my first of 6 books. Okay, I'm done.
It's still in publication too. It's such a useful, it's so awesome.
It survived the times.
Well, I mean, it will never.
I joke that I hope you like the recipes because we're all going to be eating this way, whether we want to or not, because of the lack of resources. And who can afford the price of meat these days and dairy? It's just obscene.
It is.
And if it didn't have subsidies, those industries didn't have subsidies, it would really be through the roof.
Hey, Ellen, I do have a quick follow-up question because it sounds like you came to plant diet through a real serious medical need, and scare, legitimate scare. When did you and how did you put together the pieces of compassionate living that led you to sort of like protesting zoos and stuff like that?
Well, as I mentioned, I joined St. Louis Animal Rights team. And how did I know. When I was at Smith Barney, I went to their meeting to present socially responsible investing portfolios because nobody was really doing that at the time and connecting those dots. So that's really where I met all the local, they called it the St. Louis Vegetarian Society, but mostly vegans at that point.
Yeah.
So that's really where I started connecting the dots. And I was a Leche League leader, breastfeeding information support volunteer organization. And this idea, when I first saw a video of a baby cow, a calf being ripped from its mother's breast, it's like, oh my gosh. And there would be eventually go on to be a group on Facebook called Mothers Against Dairy. And it was formed by some moms who just, had that same visual of like, how could you do this to any mammal? And what we learned is mammalian milk is very species specific, making a baby cow grow into a ginormous cow very quickly. Baby tumors grow very quickly. And human milk, also being very species specific, makes our brain grow larger. And so we don't need to be, nutritionally, we certainly don't need to be stealing the milk of another species.
So it sounds like just kind of like in the mix, in that cocktail of, I think that, like, especially when you went vegan, it would just naturally just kind of draw together people from these different, passions,
The whole thing, I was growing a garden and an organic garden since my kids were babies. They would run out and pick food. And, I'd be happy if they ate the kale before it got back into the house. I took them to the protests with me. I wore my babies. In fact, there was a newspaper reporter at my kids' school who always saw me carrying my babies in a baby sling. And she said, your kids never cry. And I said, they don't have to. They have access to their milk.
Right. The milk factory.
She wrote this big cover story in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch called "Wearing Your Baby in Style," and had a picture of me with the baby, with one of my babies in my arms. And so environmentally, I took them to the protests, and then environmentally, they grew up with a garden, and of course, when we got divorced, now she might. Everybody goes through stuff, right? And the first thing my ex did was mow down the organic garden.
That'll learn you.
Yeah. You can those kinds of things, but it doesn't destroy the spirit or what the kids see. So, and sadly, in the divorce, that was one of our things that kind of erupted, was as I was this evolving vegan. And I can't eat meat anymore. I'm just not going to do it. And, he would make fun of my cooking and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the things that inspired me to write my book.
I'm glad. Look at you now.
I'm over it. Really, I am. Like 30 years ago.
Yeah, so long, bro. So the next question in the 10 questions that somebody wanted to answer was number 3. This is Nouse, which was.
What about number 2? Wait, what about number 2?
But I thought I was just asking the questions that people said they wanted to answer.
We can get this answered. And imagine that you're
sure.
vegan. How could Sally got it? Yeah.
Just jump in. Imagine that you are pre-vegan again. How could someone have talked to you, and what could they have said or shown that could have been the most effective way to have a positive influence on you? So
I'm 2, right?
Yeah, it's in the comments.
Yeah, I chose 2. Okay.
Oh, you did? I'm so sorry. Oh, I
That's
understand
okay.
now.
No, that's okay. So, so I was vegetarian like 26 years ago, and my partner at the time just came in one day and said, "I'm going to be vegetarian." I went, "Okay." That's how easy it was. I didn't need convincing. I didn't need to be told why. It was like, "Oh, that makes sense." And I just became a vegetarian, and that was it. And then we separated. And then I met my current partner and got pregnant with my son and started eating meat because I thought, oh, I'm pregnant. My body needs meat. And really, I just wanted it. Trying to use my pregnancy as a reason for why I needed to stop being a vegetarian. And then started eating meat again. And then for my own personal journey, I went vegan because I saw a poster on the subway, the Why Love One But Eat the Other by the iVegan subway campaign here in Toronto. That's all it took. That's all it took for me as a mother to read a poster talking about pigs sing to their babies, and it hit me. That was it. I went, oh my God, I'm a mom. I got young kids. And that was it. And then that was my journey, right? So, so for me, it definitely was the ethics,
Yeah.
So I think I would be personally very easily influenced to be vegan, because I always cared about animals. I always loved animals. And like my dad was a hunter and a fisherman, right? And I would never want to see him kill an animal or skin the animal, because it really I didn't want to see that. Even though I ate the meat, I didn't want to see that because I loved animals. So I kind of like always said, like I'd either become that or I was destined to go vegan, right? And so I went vegan. So like, yeah, I just always cared about animals. So I think just drawing that comparison for me, I think I'm an easy,
You were
person
a vegan waiting to happen.
Exactly. I did. Yeah, exactly.
I get that.
Yeah.
So
give me information and I will make a decision. So, yeah. So
but
I think
not like that necessarily about other things, right? It's just like once the illusion has been stripped away and you can see the reality of the irrational, unfair, reality of what happens to animals. It's just like you don't need to play mental tricks, to convince yourself otherwise, right?
Exactly. And then when I researched who was doing that that campaign, that was Toronto Pig Save. And so I started going to vigils, and like they are, if it wasn't for that, I mean, I like to think that I would still be vegan, but getting involved in my community was definitely really, really helpful. And because just feeling like, oh, there's tons of other people like me, right? Because like when I made a decision to go vegan, it was just me. It wasn't my family. It was me. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. I don't know. Maybe I'll die. I don't know. But I'm being a vegan, right? So then, yeah. So then going to vigils and being part of the Save movement definitely was such a positive influence on my life. It led me in the direction of cooking and coaching and trying to pass along that information to others. So yeah.
I think community is I think a lot of times vegans downplay how important it is, because so many of us went vegan on our own, cold and isolated in our little caves. But I do feel like it is so important to integrate. That's why I think part of the reason why I think it's so important that we're welcoming to new people who are, they have a learning curve. We all have a learning curve, so I'm really on that community.
Community is important for a lot of things. If you think about a lot of the things that we do, having that community of people who are either doing the same thing you're doing or something similar, or that you can bounce ideas off of. Especially Facebook nowadays, you can find a group for almost anything, whatever you like. You can find your people, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd say the stage of where somebody is determinant on their influence. If you're ready and you're ready to move forward and do something that's change, then you'll make that change more easily. If you're still closed off, you'll stay closed off. But with every time that we speak to someone or we share something or something comes in your purview, it's a seed and it gets planted. And if you make them aware that it's a warm, welcoming place where they can come to help that seed grow, then it's more likely to sprout, and they're more likely to come to you to say, hey, can you help me with this? Because whatever that reason is. And then hopefully as leaders and influencers in our own communities and what we do, we would be open to helping them, which I know we all are, but hopefully everyone else out there is.
I think we can sometimes I think there's a couple of complications with online. I mean, there's it could be a big mess. But one is that you're not necessarily knowing if a stranger online is genuine or if they're trolling you or all these other things, is this just the random silly question that a new person might have, or is this a troll trying to set me up to look stupid or whatever it is, so it can be hard.
You definitely have, because
Oh
of your
God, it's
because
a
of
nonstop
Veganstreet,
party.
you definitely have to think about that.
Yeah,
I
but
had something like that happen
they're
to me
not
yesterday.
very bright. So it's easy to tell.
We'll put in the third question in the chat.
Yeah, the third question was the one Nels was going to cover, is what have you found to be the most effective way to communicate your message as a vegan? For example, humor, passion, images, etc. I'm really curious to hear this. I think you're muted, maybe.
No, you're not. We can't hear you though. It's best answer ever. Oh, thank you. By the way, we'll wait for now. Thank you, Dana, for sharing your thoughts and feelings, especially when Kelly was going. You seem to align with how Kelly feels. So cooking food for others is yours. And now it's working on can't hear you yet. Nope.
We can circle
This is
back.
where we started.
We can't. Yeah. We will circle back. The next question, I believe, let's see, was that for number 6?
We'll go to number
Shayla.
4. We'll do them all.
Okay.
We're going to do them all, Marla. What do you think are the biggest strengths of the vegan movement? So if no one said particularly, we can just throw it out there. What do you think is the biggest strengths of the vegan movement? I think Dr. Shayla said it perfectly: community.
Yeah.
And the biggest weakness, community.
Yeah.
I think that we tend to be creative people. We tend to be resourceful people. We tend especially, I think a lot of us who, I don't mean to be like patting myself, but like a lot of us who went vegan back in the day before there were all these options, we just know our way around things. So I think that resourcefulness, as Dana said, compassion, it feels good to do good, right? Like, I mean, it's not just for the act of kindness itself. It is, it helps us to feel better as, humans trying to get through this life experience, to do good in the world. So I am all for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think like so many people nowadays just live for themselves, just like constant self-gratification. And we're doing stuff for not even like non-humans, right? Who are, most people believe, below humans, so on a moral standpoint,
which is, I think, part of why people often accuse us of being self-aggrandizing or, self-righteous or whatever, because they can't comprehend doing this without, without the hope of those you're doing it for thanking you personally, like giving you 4 stars or whatever. I think people it's like a hard thing for people to wrap their brains around, doing this for others. I mean, not to say that vegans can't be self-righteous. I tend in that direction. But
I think it's more because we want to, we understand the urgency that we're playing with here, that this is really like the world is on fire, and you got to scream this message loud and clear so people, how many messages does it take before they start to listen? 7, 13, whatever number that is.
A ton. Yeah.
Right. And that's part of why the question for now, if we're all coming at things from all these different directions, with all these different talents, with all these different backgrounds, with all these different skill sets, that's what we have to do. There's no fast, easy, quick, turn these people vegan by pointing at them. Everyone responds to different things in different ways, are influenced. So I definitely think just keep bringing your talents and bringing your background and bringing your, disciplines to it, whether it means like, it doesn't have to be in a creative background. You don't have to love to cook. You can be, I know everyone from like a vegan piano tuner to like he's managed to figure out ways to make that a vegan focused occupation.
Yeah, eating plant-based is one of the things you really don't have to cook to eat plant-based. I
Right.
tell people that all the time because they think it's, like, well, I don't know how to cook, or I don't have time to cook. It's one of the few ways of eating that you really don't have to know how to cook,
Right.
You can
That's
rice
true.
and beans
That's
and
true. And
lettuce
you're not
and,
going to get
it's not hard.
Open can.
Exactly.
I mean, boil some pasta, boil some potatoes, microwave a
Yeah.
potato.
Exactly.
Not going to get
yeah.
E. coli, probably. Not going to get it.
Yeah, it really is easy. I think it's a mental thing. People
Yeah.
put this block in their head that, oh, if my plate doesn't look like the meat and two sides kind of thing, then it's like, oh, now
Yeah.
what?
I think that's on its way out, though, right? Like this idea of like I think what I grew up with was the four something or
Yes,
like
the power plate.
then there's like the power plate, exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's adorable. Ellen brought up the power plate.
But
Now
then
can
it
we hear you?
became,
Yes.
close? Can I hear
Okay,
you?
there I am.
There you are. Yay. So let's swing back to what have you found to be the most effective way to communicate your message as a vegan, even though we've kind of helped you with that.
Yeah, just artistically. Sometimes I'm not really vocal at times because I can be all over the place and I get really animated. Sometimes people are just like, it's too much. So I'm like, well, how can I go ahead and share my passion for it, but share it in a way that I think people would understand? And mine is using food as that canvas. I love to show and display that there are other ways to make something. I know I've talked about it before. I'm grew up in the alternative scene. It was the band Emery that introduced me to factory farming after them having a video play at their merch table, which was brilliant because I do have anxiety and I don't like a large group of people sometimes. So everybody cleared the way and I got to watch the video by myself. And it struck something. I'm the type of person that loves animals as well. I thought when I was in high school that I hit a squirrel, and I didn't. It just ran under the car, and I for hours was looking for the poor squirrel. My parents were like, "Look, it's fine." I'm like, "Oh no, it's fine. It's a squirrel," and they were like, "It's okay." But I'm like, you look at at an animal, and at least for me, even before I became a mom and became a parent, um, this is a living, breathing entity, just like we are. It doesn't matter if it's 2 legs, 4 legs, 5, 8, 12, it doesn't matter. It is here, it is living, and they can give life to more of themselves, as much as some creatures we don't want them, cockroaches, to go ahead and make more of themselves, but they can. And everything has the right to be here. And having pets, I'm always like, you can't say, oh, well, I mean, I don't know if this is gruesome or not, but it's like, would you eat your dog? You love your dog that much. If you wouldn't eat your dog or your cat, why would you go ahead and eat another animal that's just the same way, just because it doesn't have fur, just because it's not on your lap, it's not purring, or you can't look at it directly? It doesn't matter. Compassion goes all the way around. And for me, it was just like, okay, I'm sick and tired of seeing the same green salad and the same green smoothie, and we're not all the same. And how could I go ahead and connect and have it be on the reverse? If it were me, what would I like to see? If it's a vegan or someone who's interested, who looks like me, who's into the same type of lifestyle, what can you use that's part of you to connect with that person?
Right.
And for me, it's been the lifestyle. And I mean, there are a lot of us within the scene and the subculture. So it's been really fun. It's been really fun to see the expansion. It's been great to show people how really cool things that you can do in terms of artistically with that. And then that allows me to connect and share with them my journey and how cool it is. And I've done podcasts. I've done a whole bunch of interviews. I've done interviews with Vice Media and Cemetery Confessions. And one of the greatest things that I love is I actually got an email from a family of color who they're also goth. And because of what they heard and connected by seeing representation, they've all gone vegan. So I was like, this is cool because it's like, first and foremost, anytime a goth of color sees each other, we're like, hey, we're just like kind of shopping home. And then if you're also like vegan or you're trying to go plant-based, it's like another connection. So I think I use what I create as an extension of myself. And if someone can click and connect with that, it just opens up the floodgates and you can tell that they could be more open. And I also don't attack. You have to kind of nurture in a way that you want to be nurtured as well coming into this. And I did go it not necessarily alone. I had a best friend that was vegan first when I was in high school. So it was an interesting dynamic to see the hippie and the goth walking around in high school. But she was my introduction. She is my heart still. And that's how I introduce it. And it helps me too for parents that are like, I would like to go ahead and I have a child and how did you do it? And, to kind of, to teach and enlighten, because it's different when you're an adult because you yourself are able to read and research what you need. When you're dealing with children, it's a whole different, arena. So I love to use any other means I can to having little ones who have been vegan since, I've been vegan for the most part, and introducing it so that there's not that negative stigma of introducing veganism to a child if you know the right way to do it.
Right.
So that's how I use it.
Just your average everyday Black vegan.
Yeah.
You are the you are the Black unicorn when you guys
Yes,
see
I
each other.
am.
It's amazing. I love
Yes.
it. And it's just like I think that a lot of your story, to me, what it draws to mind is one, how important representation is. I mean, white people, we're used to seeing ourselves. We don't know how important it is to be able. This has nothing to do with this topic, but I heard an interview with Gina Davis, like maybe a month ago or so, the actor, and she was saying, like her big passion is seeing more women in media. And she was saying that after the character of Dana Scully appeared, in X-Files, and that show blew up, women in forensic sciences went way up. But it was really linked to being able to see a woman in that role, So representation is so important.
Yeah, it was a similar with Hidden Figures. Marla, I don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, Hidden Figures. And so it's based on a true story of the Black women who were behind a lot of the NASA their research and things, and so it inspired a lot of young Black girls to pursue areas of STEM, and so our pop culture and representation can have a way of being promoted for good.
And just like
100%.
how much more our society would be progressed if not only were people encouraged and not blocked from these careers, but also just visible. I mean, thank goodness we're in a new, but like how much more advancement we would have, if there were equal opportunity in that. So the fifth question is, I've got my answer. What do you think are I don't know the difference between saying R and R here. I knew that was going to trip me up. Our biggest hindrances to getting the word out effectively.
I'll answer.
Oh, well, I have a lot of thoughts, but like one is just ego. it's just like, I want to shoot this person down. I want to make them feel stupid. I want to embarrass them. Like, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Um, the fact is, if the animals, I believe, if the animals could ask us to how to communicate with people, I mean, all going to come at it different ways, but I don't think shame would ever be involved, because it just is such a do not pass go with like, it's just like, it's such a conversation killer. The problem that we have as vegans is, it, even no matter how we communicate it, the shame response gets pressed on, even if we're being, if it can be impossible to be honest about this subject without getting people into their shame cycle. So it's a challenge, for sure. But I think that when vegans come at it from an egocentric, especially now with social media, where you can show off to all of your pals, I just own that guy and I trolled that one, whatever. I think if we put our egos aside and just look at it from the framework of, how can I be effectively reaching this person in a, direct, simple, compelling way, it wouldn't involve embarrassment and shame. I mean, sometimes it happens inadvertently, but that's my thought, is just people who are poor communicators.
I just want to throw out, maybe overstating the obvious, that money is the thing that
It is.
stops us from getting the message out. Money talks.
Classism.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely true. Nels, what did you think?
What hindrances? False. I want to say like false. I guess it falls back on representation. So false representation. And the reason I say, well, that can be a hindrance is you do have some that milk it. And when they get called out, all of a sudden they go where, well, I had to leave it for reasons of I couldn't get it. I adore the show Wednesday. I think that Jenny Ortega is a fantastic actress. I do have my issues with Tim Burton. We ain't gonna get into that today. But I did find an article where she said that she had to stop being vegan. She was forced to stop being vegan when she was filming in Romania. And I was like, first and foremost, there are vegans in Romania, I'm quite sure. And you are a celebrity. They will go all out for you to have what you need. That's why you fly back and forth. Something wasn't adding up. Just say you're plant-based. Just say that you're doing that and you're incorporating. Don't say that you're vegan and then all of a sudden you get caught and then you're like, well, I was forced to stop, because that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
If you were marginalized, or just like Ellen, you said, money, then I can see it being an issue. Or if they didn't have any resources or anything, or maybe it was scarce and things like that, we don't want you to have any health issues in terms of eating once a day or once, while you're filming there for months. Got it. But you're rich. If Netflix is gonna fly you over there, they will fly you some vegan food. You have no excuse. So
Or there'll be a
that
personal
right there
chef.
is it. Yeah, false
The personal chef on
faces,
set.
wrong representation. That's what can be a hindrance.
Right. I think it's
That's a good
like,
answer.
it's not like this was some little fly-by-night production. Helene and Kelly, did you have thoughts about that? Or did you want to just move on to the next question?
I was going to say, like, just media's reluctancy to talk about veganism, or if we even manage to get into media, it's either false information, it's the vegan, the child who died from a vegan parent or some extreme thing, or the vegan who died climbing Mount Everest, right? They paint it a vegan lifestyle in a negative way, and they never compare it to a non-vegan lifestyle, So I think media is a big one. And then I was just thinking misinformation amongst our community.
Yes.
If you hear something and then from one person and you talk to another vegan, they say something else, they're going to go, well, you guys don't even know your information. Why would I go vegan? Because you're telling me one thing, so I think that's another one as well.
That's so true. And that's why I also get aggravated when people heap on other food avoidances to vegan things. It's like, have
It's
your
just
diet at home.
assholes.
What's that?
Just assholes in the vegan community.
Oh,
It's just
They're in
this,
every
like,
community.
Just like any.
I have never
like
met a
every, right.
one.
I mean, as of last night, I compared some vegan people to MAGA and Trumpsters. The people who speak the loudest or scream the loudest tend to be the ones that are most heard, even though they're the minority. And the problem is we're also afraid to stand up to the bullies because of what they may do to us. Meanwhile, they're already doing it. And somehow, some way, we need to figure out how to stop it. And you know what? The outside people, hindrance to getting the word out effectively, the outside people are going to look at that and go, why do I want to be associated with you?
Mhm.
Healthy people look at Trumpsters and MAGA and go, why do I want to be associated with you? You're a cult.
Right.
Well, there are pieces of veganism that come off cult-like as well because of the attitudes, behaviors, the words, what's being done. And you go, why would I want to be a part of that? Now, it's not everyone, of course, and the point of this to make it so that people know that it's not everybody. But the loudest voices tend to be the most negative, and we really need to do something to make our voices louder. Like really, really, really need to.
I also think that that's a product of social media and algorithms and all of that stuff is the more extreme views and the more like, flamboyantly, just like militantly mean messages get the most attention. It's like if you're out there trying, with a nuanced, calm, it's just like
People don't listen. You need to be screaming in people's faces to get them to get to be heard.
well, it comes down to
that's what we need to do. Go ahead, Ellen.
I used to do media training after I left television, and we had the 10 C's that would guarantee you get on the news, and one of them is creating a crisis, calamity, conflict. I mean, it's amazing how many C words are evolve around that. But just a quick story. I was sitting on a plane about 10 years ago next to a guy who owned 6 broadcast stations. And I was sharing him. I had this book coming out. He said, so what do you want to do? Be somebody on the Food Network, or would you like to be syndicated in my broadcast network? And I said, either will do. So I sent him a proposal. The short story is a month later, he got back to me and he said, my angels wouldn't have it. Translation is it's the advertising dollars that he would lose advertising if somebody like me were to come on and do cooking shows. I mean, I think that's changed fortunately a little bit now, but it still is so hard to break into the mainstream. So hard.
Yeah, and that's part of why
Ellen,
else is something to say. Yeah.
You hit it on the head, and they were like, it's advertising dollars. Because I was approached twice for Food Network for their Halloween specials, for their baking competitions, but I was too much. I repeat, I was too much visually for their audience. I do, and I am working on it because they took the person who has tattoos on their arms, and that's edgy enough.
Yeah,
but it's like if you
like Kat Von D gets all this, you know what I mean? Like,
don't speak of that one.
I think you being black is the too much part,
Okay, everybody I'm sorry. If you're doing a Halloween show, everybody's too happy. If you're going to bring on Elvira as a guest, I'm sure I fit in perfectly. So it doesn't make any sense. But something else that was said too is we are our own worst enemies. The MAGA, Helene, my friend said it. He was like, evangelicals. And I was like, put it on a shirt. I will wear it.
I've been called that. Get over it. Whatever.
Yes, because we are our own undoing. We will attack. And so the newer ones that want to come in that are normally teenagers or young adults, the first thing, you're not alkaline enough. Soy is bad. Oh my God, Dr. Sabi. It's like you're deterring. You're hurting the cause. Is it for you or is it for what we're all doing this for?
Sure. And I think that sometimes the closest someone gets to being vegan but is not quite there, the more the vegans hate them. So it's like McDonald's, Burger King can come out with some new whatever the fuck vegan or plant-based thing, and vegans will shout it from the roofs, oh my God! But if the vegans find out that somebody who owns a vegan restaurant occasionally eats honey on his own, oh, forget it. He's eviscerated. He
Mhm.
is communicated. He is gone. You know, but like I feel like
Mhm.
that sense of proportion is so overblown. But I also feel like our responsibility is to not elevate those voices of extreme
Yes.
hate and like look at me, look at me, look at me vibe.
Mhm.
You know, like it's really contingent on us to not fall for that. Like that's the whole like 10 years ago, everyone was all about the banana girl, banana girl, banana girl, and she was just like repeating
Oh,
so
really?
much nonsense that was totally anti-science. She was a I'm like a
Gotta keep this moving.
anyway. Let's move on.
Oh, the vegan teacher.
These elevators are
Just
just
put it
hard
out
for me to
there.
think of.
And they got pictures. First floor.
The vegan teacher.
Yeah.
She's
It's
the
hard
other
for me
one.
to think of. As the different pitches will hit home with different people and just keep us flowing. For some of it, it's about animals, others about health, etc. So Dana moved on to our next question before we did, which is the elevator pitch. Did somebody say they wanted to do this? If someone
Yeah,
has
this is
have
going
a
to be
really
my
brief
my
elevator
question,
pitch.
and honestly, we've already touched a lot on it because my position is always about health, from my perspective and what I do, and really, just even the conversation we just had, it touches on the fact that I really rarely even use the term vegan, especially when I'm talking to patients or clients. I use the term plant-based because there's so many other connotations that go with vegan. And my whole goal really is for folks to get more plants on their plate so that we can prevent and reverse these preventable chronic diseases. And so, that can look like a number of things. And it's not, and I always try to break it down for people, that vegan is a whole lifestyle. It's more than just what you're putting on your plate for a lot of people who are vegan. And so, in terms of my elevator pitch, mine's really is for health because, there are things that we suffer from a lot. Heart disease and heart attacks is still the number one killer in America. And studies have shown time and time again that putting more plants on your plate can actually reverse cardiovascular disease. And so it's just something that we should be doing and doing more of.
That is awesome. And I hope that people don't feel like I think, or that any of us think that it should always just come from this, the basis of compassion. I think that like a lot of people come through different doors. My husband came through the door of environmentalism, a rare person who's a vegan today. But like, I do feel like what you're doing, Dr. Shayla, is incredibly important and also just exactly what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Like, you should be talking to people the way that you are. You should be meeting them in, like, you're not going to go at them about zoos and rodeos.
Right.
Yeah. That'll come later when they, join the vegan society.
Oh no, don't say that.
Or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm putting question 7 up.
Okay, number 7 is, anyone who wants to answer this, feel free. Who are the people and what are the books, films, websites, and organizations that have had the greatest influence on your veganism and your continuing evolution?
The first book, I'll dive in that one. The first book that I actually followed was Happy Herbivore. I don't know if you all are familiar with Lindsay Nixon, Happy Herbivore.
Oh, yeah, good book, right? Like,
yeah. So she's the one with the so she's the one that she does a lot with like elephant sanctuaries and stuff, but really her recipes are super easy to follow. And it's one of those things, like we talked about, where people, are dissuade a lot of times because they say, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to cook, it's too much to do. And I liked hers because most of the recipes are like 4 ingredients or so and could be cooked in 30 minutes or less. Busy mom or whatever, I didn't have time to do a whole lot. And so so her books, Happy Herbivore, is really the kind of the first that I was really drawn to.
Fabulous.
Earthlings. Cowspiracy. Cowspiracy was the first one. Then I watched Earthlings. I mean, I can't say that well, I don't know if I want to say that she was, well, you know what? No, I'll include her because she kind of, in my raw vegan journey, Christina. Fully Raw Christina, when I started doing raw vegan. Yeah, she was. Then I kind of noticed some other things and I stopped following her. But I will give her that. Like, she was a catalyst for that one. Then I started doing more research myself and then just creating myself and didn't necessarily have to, watch her videos. But those were kind of the three, I guess I would say, media. But it really was my friend that was big in high school. It was that one soy cast drink. That's it. That did it for me. And her kind of showing that you don't need it from animals. And that did it. And then finding magazines and then finding a lot of Nigerian vegans, finding more color, and just finding ones that didn't come off, ones that were relatable. I guess I would say that. You don't have to be necessarily the same aesthetic, just relatable. And health, of course, too, especially Dr. Shayla, because I don't know if you're familiar with the NEMCHEK protocol.
No, not familiar with that one.
Yeah. It's great because it just got me to start reading more about the benefits of particular nutrition for brain health, the gut and the brain being connected. And having two little ones that are at ADHD, I have ADHD myself. I would never put something in their body like that. And it's great to see what it is. And it's all about food, what you're pulling away. Like I said, they've been off of dairy. I mean, they've never had any dairy, never any meat products. So reading that book, following with other doctors that are in plant-based or vegan, the vegan lifestyle, it's been incredible to just read and continually educate myself, because just because you're vegan doesn't know you know everything. It's still a journey every day. So
yeah, I met a guy when I was 18. I met a guy when I was 18 who was vegan, and he had a mohawk and he was painted green or dyed green, and that was a long time ago. Bye, Shayla. Have a good holiday. And that was, I didn't turn vegan because of him, but I did go vegetarian. But I also understood what was happening with PETA. So I was an interesting vegetarian in the sense that I was cruelty free and I understood animal rights and just kind of started my journey that way. So I think for a lot of us, another human is a big part of our journeys into however we got to wherever we got or whatever that is. So I'm going to keep us moving so we're not here all night. And Susan said forks over knives. So question number 8 is, burnout is so common among vegans. What do you do to unwind, recharge, and inspire yourself? I'm pretty sure I said I would gravitate towards this question. And because I just wrote about it in my newsletter. I write my newsletter like I'm just writing to you. Just and that, because you can tell it's definitely comes from the heart, whatever I write. But I feel it's really important that every single day you take time for yourself, no matter what that is. Whether it's playing with your pets, rolling around on the floor, taking a nap, playing games on your phone, reading, swimming, exercising, all of the above. You need to be aware that you're burning out and have someone who loves you to be able to say, hey, maybe you want to take a moment. There were a lot of moments for me this year that I needed to take because it was a very stressful year for us. But I've always preached whenever I'm interviewed that every single day I take time for myself. Every single day. No matter how busy I am, I will not constantly work. I will not continuously. I may work more, but I will find the time to watch television. I will find the time to spend time with whomever, make dinner, whatever it is. All of you need to do that too, because, I mean, especially if you're prone to depression, especially during the holidays, it's a time where people are more impacted. I know for a lot of us, even though Twitch was not vegan, I know it impacted a lot of people that I know. That he's 40 years old and he just took his own life. It still impacts me. I followed him along since he started on So You Think You Can Dance, and I can't personally comprehend being that upset that you would end your life. But I'm a unicorn in the fact that mentally I don't feel that way. So, but I know more
I
people feel that feeling of I want this to be over than for me. I don't care how hard it is, I'm going to get through it. And I wish that more people felt the way I did, but I understand that they don't. And I wish there was
Yeah.
more we could do as a society to help
Right.
when you're feeling like things are so over that you need to go for yourself. I just don't
You need to
understand
make
that.
sure that you have a good support system, because April would have been the day that I would have taken myself out.
Yeah.
What is
It's been hard.
Yeah.
April
Yep.
would have been my passing day.
April?
So yeah,
The month
yeah.
of April.
So it's it's hard. Twitch's death too, like the same thing followed. Having a support system and having chosen family, because sometimes family is not family. Having those that are chosen
Mhm.
and having good friends if you can't get a therapist. And there is that hotline number to call. I did, and I'm glad I did. So
988.
it's not a 988 is the number. Just anybody reach out to whenever that you can. One person. It doesn't have to be a group. Just anyone you feel
Just
safe
reach
with.
out. Just
That's
reach
it.
out before you do something so final.
But one of the things I just want to say is that for someone who's famous, has 3 children, is world renowned, to take his life, to die by suicide, the suffering he must have been experiencing must have been incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Just like how vast it would be. So I think if you're on the outside looking in, it's hard to fathom, like what a selfish thing to do. But if you're experiencing it, I can only imagine suffering beyond description. Like you said, like
It has to be.
yeah, it has to be,
Because he was
so
definitely, it wasn't like they were getting divorced. They were a loving relationship. The 3 children. I mean,
right.
it just, yeah. I mean, just think about like what must have been going on to do. It's final. There's no coming back
That
from
has to mean
killing
that
yourself. Yeah.
you feel safer in this other, like that is a preferable choice, and
Right.
that's got to be enormous suffering. So like
Yeah.
I don't think we can take our non-depressed brains and understand it, like how it
No.
would feel. It's
Some
and
people feel
I wasn't familiar with
it
him.
differently.
I do think part of it that's been painful is that like what I've seen of him is he presented a very happy, joyful, presence. And I think that's
Yeah.
same with like Robin Williams, right? Like that
Yeah.
so that's been painful. But yes,
Yeah.
988.
Sorry to make it such a downer for that, but to bring it back full circle,
Considering
that you do things for yourself.
how much
That
vegans see, it's
Yeah.
kind of amazing that there isn't more suicide in the vegan universe. I knew there was one guy a few years ago took his life, whose name escapes me at the moment, but got a lot of publicity, within the movement. It was just such a shocker. But that's really the only person I know. And, I'm probably missing somebody in the vegan world. But, I think part of it is we feel like the animals, the planet needs us to be the voice for the voiceless. And that's ultimately what it is. And no matter how bad a day you feel you've had, when you look at a suffering animal, then that kind of brings you back to like, okay, I need to be here to be that voice.
Right.
Well, On a happy note on that, in terms of how to unwind, my children like to watch like choreo videos, and they try so hard to do what they see. So all you see these lanky little limbs. So that makes me laugh when I need to unwind or marvel because I'm a big geek. So it helps me to unwind.
So important. It's like one of the little things I have done in my own life is to have a list of things that I like. I don't struggle with depression, anxiety. Anxiety is my boo. Anxiety keeps me warm and cozy in its embrace. But never far away. But one of the things I do is I keep a list on my desktop of things that make me feel better, whether it's thrifting, whether it's calling this or that friend, whether it's visiting the hometown where I grew up and taking a walk. You know, winter is really hard for me because walking, you know, at least 4 to 5 miles a day is part of how I manage anxiety. So anyway, I think that keeping a list of your tried and true things that will get you out of a slump is a good idea. And for me, daily yoga, to Lean's point, spending time by myself is a non-negotiable.
I was just gonna
Good, Kelly.
I was going to quickly add, I love thrifting too. And I actually do activism when I go to the thrift store. I'll go to the books section and I'll go to the cookbooks. And if there's any vegan cookbooks, I put them right on display. So when you go, so they're just right all there.
Yeah.
And then I take a picture and I'll post it on Facebook.
Yes!
But yeah, right.
Hide the bad ones.
It's a fun way to do activism, right?
Absolutely. Every little thing we can do.
Yep.
Number 9 is, what is the issue nearest and dearest to your heart that you would like others to know more about? It's hard to say because we're all vegan, right? It's like veganism.
Bat World Sanctuary.
It's that World Sanctuary.
That's like
house?
one of my passions. Bat World Sanctuary.
I love
has been one of
that.
the causes that I have been very, very much vocal and supportive, because unfortunately, we as vegans have a tendency to forget those animals and how vital they are to the ecosystem and how important that they are. And they are getting captured and bagged and drowned and set on fire and things like that because people fail to understand them. Not every single bat in the United States is going to suck your blood. They are mostly fruit bats, and they are crucial to the ecosystem here. And they are the sweetest, they are the cutest little sky puppies ever. And I think that I support them. I support I have a tendency to go towards a lot of besides the standard ones like your farm sanctuaries, which I always support, but most of the ones that are shelters or sanctuaries for animals that are owls, you know, bats, snakes, reptiles, things like that are abused, that deserve the same love and the same effort to be taken care of and acknowledged and rehomed, or put back into their natural environment and protected, because some of them are endangered species, and without them it throws off. You can't say, oh, without it wouldn't matter. No, as soon as we have it go down to one is gone, it throws off everything. So that's the cause, the particular sanctuary that I want more people to research and speak of. They will be one of the ones that I'm supporting for BossFest. The ticket sales percentage are going to go towards, and they're the sweetest people ever. And they're a really, really great cause. And you can adopt a bat too. Adopted one.
I fucking love bats, man. I love bats. Honestly, it's a good thing it's 7:16 because I could go off for a ball. But I am like such a flying fox freak. They are fucking enormous. They're like 8 feet wide. They're giant black umbrellas flying through the sky. I love bats. I fucking love bats. Anyway, go on.
To get away from bats and flying foxes and stuff, and the issue nearest to my heart is all our vendors that we have at our festival.
What did you say? What did you say?
An issue nearest to my heart is all our vendors at our festivals, and that we couldn't survive without our vendors, and the vendors need the festivals to have some place to go to sell and do their thing, and they are family to us, and they are made to feel like family, and it becomes difficult when you work with other people who don't understand that.
Yeah.
And they want to continue to treat the vendors just like, I don't even know why you would ever treat vendors in a non like amazing way, but it seems that we're unicorns in that sense too. And the way we treat the people that we work with or come to work with us is pretty darn special. And we pride ourselves on that, and we will go above and beyond, because to me that's what you're supposed to do when you're putting your livelihood in our hands for your success. Well, I feel the exact in reverse. My success is in their hands as well. So it's, and it obviously was a big part, a huge part of our year and our upcoming year. So that's that's where our heart is. Actually, we love these festivals so much, to the point where they literally almost killed us this year. So
even the ones that tried to kill you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
and they did. They definitely did.
Small ethical businesses. Let's stop promoting fucking Burger King's plant-based Whopper and put a little attention to some of these small mom and pop, just businesses that are trying. And let's, like, if we gave a fraction of the attention we give to these big monolithic corporations, that would be amazing. So yes, thank you, Ellen.
Yeah, so shop small. Yeah,
exactly. Ellen and Kelly, did you want to share your nearest and dearest issue? And if not, we could also move on to number 10.
I would just say, my life's work has been trying to find an angle, call it marketing or whatever, that people would be, yeah, that'll make me go vegan. It was like somebody at the Miami Book Fair walked by my table, did like a double take and goes, I don't know about vegan, but you had me at $4 a day. So, just finding whatever,
by hook or by crook.
I will not use the word hook, because that really refers to catching a fish.
Not necessarily.
A vegan carrot, just something that rings true, that is meaningful, because, people ultimately are kind of self-focused. And, they care about saving money. They care about not creating waves if they go to a family event or event where not everybody is vegan. Those are the kinds of messages that I've tried to get out there and really see, it's sort of like sales. It's overcoming objections. So there's no excuse left on the planet after I'm done with you.
Exactly. Kelly, how about you? Did you want to answer that, or should we move on to 10? Either way is good.
I think for me, probably this year, just because we experienced food insecurity in our home and have had to go to food banks, seeing just how unhealthy of food that they're giving to people who are food insecure, it's just made me really want to do something. Like when I'm in a position to do something, I just really want to do something, right? Because it's sad, because the majority of people that go to these places tend to be people of color, so we know the I can't think of the movie that Keegan and
not Cuthbert.
They're trying to kill us. Right? Like, it's so true, right? It's so true about how, they're trying to make the BIPOC community sick, right? And now, seeing that firsthand is just it really makes me want to do something more. Like, how can we get nutritious plant-based food to people whenever they need it for free? And I work with climate healers, and food healers is a sort of a section of climate healers. And Salesh's, Dr. Rao's vision is, to have healthy plant-based food available for people for free, right? And so I'm becoming much more passionate about that as I see, as I see that side.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm really sorry that you guys had that experience, but you are going to take that insider view and make the world a better place because of it. Like, we can intellectualize, but unless you've kind of gotten into proximity with it, you don't really know the full scope of it. So you're gonna, but yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so the 10th question. It's now 10:00 p.m. Just kidding.
Close.
It's almost. Please finish the sentence. To me, being vegan is ellipses.
Ellen?
My legacy.
Oh, I love that. It sure is too.
Kelly?
The best decision next to my children that I ever made in my life.
Marla?
I'm mad at Kelly for taking that out of my brain. Yeah, I was going to say, other than deciding to date the nice guy who didn't play mind games, it was the best decision I ever made. Now,
Them. To me, being vegan is these two. You guys say hi. They're the future, and I'm doing it for them. Hi. That's that one, and the other one who just decided to run off. But they're my they're my reason. They're my reason for being vegan. They're my reasons.
That's
and
awesome.
I'll continue.
Yeah,
And my
to me,
legacy.
being vegan is love.
Yeah.
And you can't define love, but this is part of it.
We
Well,
are
Stu Crew, we did it.
We
did it. So everyone think about your favorite, whatever happened, good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to do for the year, for next week, so that we can share that. If I have the time, I might actually have the time. If you send me from where, I might even be able to go get some clips and play some clips next week. I might actually be able to do that. So just send me what was your favorite, and we'll see if we can have some fun or some highlight reel. I'll try to see what I can put together if I have the motivation. I don't have a lot of motivation towards the end of the year. I don't want to do anything. So, but I did a lot. It's time to not do anything. And it seems like I'm going to be okay from the surgery because I'm standing here. Granted, I'm bleeding, but I'm good.
Not we're talking to your ghost. We're talking to Helene's ghost right now.
Right. It's like, wow, I can't believe they were like really doubtful I'd be able to do this tonight. And I'm so glad that I was able to. So
Me too.
let me close out the show. Yeah, Ellen's thinking it's because you're vegan. So let me close out the show. Bye, Ellen. Bye, Marla. Bye, Kelly. Bye, Nows. And to all of you, thank you for sticking with us for our 10 questions and for, Veganstreet coming up with that idea, concept of having 10 questions. And of course, we want to wish you a wonderful holiday, whatever holiday that is, if you celebrate or not. Maybe it's a day off, maybe it's not a day off, because Christmas is literally just another day that you can celebrate any time of year if you so choose. So just do whatever is good for you, and hopefully you'll be around people that love you and care about you. And if you're not, call someone and tell them you love them and care about them, because that's important too, because you never know what words will make a difference in somebody's day. You just don't know. That's why you do it. So thank you for our sponsor, Kathy Hester, for this month for sponsoring Virtual Veg Fest Live. And of course, go to virtualvegfestlive.com, hit the contest tab, and enter our weekly contest that we're doing for the month of December, where you can win one of 11 prizes that Callie's doing a great job of giving away over the course of the month. Outside of that, we will see you next week for our highlight show for the year of 2022, because we are doing this for over a year now. And thank you for being a part of it. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see